to New York City. Kevin McCullough, glad to have you with us as we are coming to you from the shadow of the Freedom Tower, just north of Trinity Cemetery, where people like Alexander Hamilton are buried. And we are now directly across the street from the brand new 9/11 Memorial and Monument. If you choose to come to New York, it is a fabulous time of year and place to be to see those things related to 9/11, as it has just opened. And it is actually centered in the subterranean footprint of what was Tower 1. So, again, kind of a historic place for us to be coming to you from each weekday. But we are honored to have you with us, and thank you for taking us along with you. I try to do the best I can to keep you up to date on what's going on in the world around you as we approach this time each day. And you're hearing some of the updates of what happened with the meeting with President Obama and VA Administrator General Shinseki. It doesn't sound like anything significant came out of that. And I remember reading the responses from the White House the last couple of days ago. First, the one where, the president said, well, I found out about this by seeing it on the news. Here's a suggestion for President Obama, and take it for what it's worth. If you don't think I'm being sincere, probably better to stop admitting that if it's really true. And if it's not true, you're not doing yourself any favors by using that as the excuse, because it just makes you look negligent or dishonest. But it doesn't make you appear to be at all in the least bit informed about what's going on. So even if it's true that you're finding out about the IRS scandal and the Fast and Furious and now the VA hospital problems, if you are finding that out, Mr. President, by watching television news, sincerely, for your own political well-being, stop saying that, because it makes, if it's really actually the truth, it makes you look like a doofus. And if it's not true, then it just makes you look, exploitative of the opportunity. But to be the leader of the free world and to have crisis after crisis after crisis be brought to your attention by supposedly, quote, seeing the reports on the news, it makes it has the appearance as though you have no idea of what's going on around you. And one of the primary things we hired you to do, Mr. President, because you work for me. You work for me, you work for everybody listening. One of the things that we hired you to do was to go stay informed so that things like this didn't surprise you. So please, stop telling us that you're finding out about things on the news. I just think it doesn't do you any favors, and I'm trying to be helpful. 888-589-8840. Maybe you agree or disagree. I'm not sure. Hey, speaking of someone else who has a big mouth, that Pennsylvania judge yesterday that ruled that marriage in that state has to be now redefined by the tyrant sitting in the black robe and not by the voters in the voting booth. The people that keep in state after state after state go, yes, I understand that 70 to 90% of our citizens in this state want marriage defined a certain way, but I don't like it defined that way, so I'm going to define it the way I want it defined. And then that one judge, unelected judge, gets to just, kind of tell people what it's going to be. U.S. District Judge John Jones yesterday looked the plaintiffs in this marriage lawsuit in the eye, the 11 couples, probably of whom 6 of them were men who had sex with their male partner the night before. I don't know. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they were celebrating, whatever. But it's funny how the newsprint, makes it sanitized. Well, 11 couples that felt like they were. Yeah, but what are we talking about? We're talking about men who have had sex with their male partner in whatever vile and disgusting way that takes place. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about, summer love, young little wide-eyed boy and girl. It's not a story about Jack and Diane. I'm sorry. This is a different scenario. But the judge looked them in the eye, and he looked them in the eye, and he said, "You're courageous for challenging the constitutionality of the voice of the voters from 1996." as if because it was defined in 1996 that's supposed to mean something. In the last 14 cases in which marriage laws have been changed, it has been the expressed whim of a single judge in every state that has done that. And friends, I'm not here to. I don't think I'm a prophet of any sort. I don't think I say things that then come true. I just don't know how you continue to spit in the face of 70 to 90% of the American people that want marriage defined as what traditional marriage has always been and expect there to be no problem with it. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how judge after judge keeps going, yeah, all of you people over there, you're a bunch of dum-dums. I don't know. I don't know how they get away with that. And I don't know how this judge is going to get away with this. This is what he said when he was looking John and Harry in the eye as they were grasping hands and looking longfully towards one another themselves. U.S. District Judge John Jones said, quote, "We are better people than what these laws represent." Now, what law is he talking about? The law that was passed according to the will of the Pennsylvania voters by an overwhelming margin to define marriage as it, always had been since the beginning of time. That's what he was saying was the humongo problem. So those laws, we are a better people than what these laws represent. Really, District Judge Jones, you're a better people than the act of conception that God creates life out of? Please explain that to me. What does that mean? We're better people than what these laws represent. A traditional marriage law represents the fact that every child will have a mother and a father. That's what traditional marriage laws represent. What are you talking about? This is where these silly people wearing black robes who think themselves so educated and so much smarter than everybody else in the room say some of the stupidest stuff you'll ever hear. We, meaning the people like him, that want John and Harry to go home and consummate their relationship all over again. We, the people in the black robes that keep citing on these things, we are better people than what these laws, traditional marriage laws, proactive law, they don't ban anything. They're proactive laws that the people of that state said, this is our will. This is how we wish to define marriage in our state. And what is it? It's some federal judge that doesn't believe in the power of the state or the people of the state or the people of local communities. It's some arrogant, hubristic practitioner of law that sits in his chambers in his black robe thinking, how great I am. And he comes out and he says, well, we people, the smart ones like me in the black robe, we're better than what these laws represent. When the law represents the marital union of a man and a woman the way God defined it and the way our population will come about for the next generation. Brent asked me if I was going to get excited early in the show. I didn't think I was going to. I tried not to. Brent, I'm sorry. Please accept my apologies. I tried really hard not to. Anyway, he went on to say, after he said, well, I'm better than, the miracle of childbirth and the protecting of the marital union. Then he went on to say, and it's time to discard these laws. What laws are they? The laws that a man and a woman come together before God, sanctified before God, only clinging to one another for the rest of their life. That law, it's time for that law to be put into the ash heap of history. Let's see. Oh, and then the judge said, I could put my ruling on hold so that the Republican governor of Pennsylvania can appeal this, but I don't think I will. So, anyway, we'll see what's going to happen in Pennsylvania. There's a lot of expectation that the governor will appeal this, and it'll go to the next level of court. 888-589-8840. Maybe you want to weigh in already. Let's talk to Iris in Texas. Hi, Iris. Welcome. Kevin McCullough here. I'm a little crabby. Please forgive me.
Saying this is why we, the people, don't call the individual state, either the governor or the attorney general or both, and saying, we want you to stand up for what was decided in the Supreme Court, that we have the right to say no to this. If half or a fourth or 10% of Christians stood up for righteousness and made those calls, the AFA alerts that come through are fabulous. Even an alert went out for every state. We, the people, would have a voice in this and say, okay, do what you're hired to do. Defend this law.
Well, and that's where I think the Republican governor, and I don't know who the attorney general in Pennsylvania is, I can find that out, but I do think that they are. I think the governor's going to appeal it and go to the next level with it and supply the ability for the state to defend itself. It's only been a recent phenomenon, by the way. What happened in Oregon, where the state was required by law to defend its law, that it chose not to. That's only a recent phenomenon. But it's recently been the phenomenon on the federal level, and that's why Oregon thought they could get away with it, because the first thing Obama did when he came to office is, I'm not going to enforce marijuana laws anymore, so we're not going to defend them in court. And then they went and they said, we're not going to defend DOMA. There was any number of things where the Justice Department has just said, whatever, we don't like it, we don't think it's right. See, it's all about this tyranny of those who have power. And for those of you that think that, involving yourself in the political process is a waste of time, you're going to get the government that you deserve. If you sit things out, if you sit there and twiddle your thumbs and go, well, I don't like either one perfectly, so I'm not going to vote for either. Last night there was a primary election, and a bunch of rhinos got nominated for their positions. And why did that happen? Because people didn't care, and they stayed home. We are lulling ourselves to sleep as a nation, and we're going to get what we ask for if we don't wake up. If we don't start to feel passionately about obliterating confusion and amplifying some truth. And people wonder, why is Kevin so tightly wound when he gets on the radio every day? You want to know why? Because I have to look my 4-year-old in the eye when I leave to come to the studio every day, and I ask myself the haunting question, what kind of world am I leaving for him? And friend, if that doesn't haunt you, and I wouldn't expect my 4-year-old's smile to haunt you every day, but if it doesn't, if your child's future doesn't haunt you, shame on you. We are supposed to be stewards of what God gives us, of the opportunity, the days that we have. We are obligated to do our best to leave a different world behind for them than what we inherited. And at this point, we are failing miserably. All right, we'll take your calls on this. I've got a bunch of other news to get to today, and I hope that you'll stay with us. I've got an update on Pastor Saeed from Iran. We'll get to that as well. Some not good news as it relates to him, and I'll tell you about that coming up. Kevin McCullough, very glad to have you with us. Thank you for being here. AFA Today on AFR Talk. Stay with us.